Says that we're live. Sounds good to me. Let's check things out over here. I did a little check-in with our guests tonight. Wait, say what? Hold the phone. What was that about? Before I check out what's going on in the chat, what was this about Bigby Lupo? Can I scroll properly? What is going on with Bigby? Where did it go? Oh, man. Why did it go away? That's so annoying. All right, let's click this. I've got to check out. You know, people are going to file in. Just bear with me. I saw that there was a deal with Bigby Lupo. Like he has a new video coming out. And I've got to check that out. Well, I mean, not like right now. I just wanted to see what it was called. I'm going to have to go to his channel because I'm subscribed to far too many people, apparently. Good grief. All right, we'll go to Bigby Lupo's channel, and then I'll check out the chat. Welcome, everybody. I'm just imagining that you're here right now, and I haven't looked at the chat yet, so welcome and hello. So make yourselves comfortable. Grab yourself a beverage. I've got some watermelon kombucha. And then I'll move on to my next beverage. Okay, so 1 week ago, Bigby Lupo posted a video about weather control. Very interesting. I will have to check that out. Alrighty, so you'll notice I've got a earpiece and a microphone. And that's the same microphone that I'll be using once I get my splitter, and I'll be using it with my iPhone. So let's go ahead and click here, and so that way I can check out the chat. Volume down. There we go. And we have people here. Michelob Ultra Lime and Prickly Pear Cactus. What is going on with that? Oh. Hold on. You know you. Yeah, I'm live. So I'm on the phone with you while live streaming. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He's been on one. Yeah. I need to try and find his email. I think I have it on my phone, so we'll see. All right, great. Bye. All right, well, that was Baldylocks Bear, and he was just giving me a little heads up about our friend that has had a baby. West Side Bear. West Side Bear recently had, I think, his second. Let's see. Yeah. Where do I have his? I'd have to go back to that stream. I wonder if I start typing it, it'll find it. West Side. Nope. 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 All right. Well, I need his email to get him back on. Good night, Preacher Bear. Glad to see you popping in. Got my kombucha situation. And let me attach this to the back of my neck so it's just out of the way but not dangling. And then we'll get the show on the road with Deuteronomy chapter 7. If you want to grab your Bibles, that is how we're going to get the night started, is with Deuteronomy chapter 7. So let's go there. This is, there's a dude on YouTube. His name is Melchizedek, obviously from Melchizedek. And he asked me to read this, so I'm going to do it. I was like, yeah, it's the Bible. What's up? What's up? I can do that. So that's the best chapter after chapter 6. Okay. No, because I would have had to have used, I don't have Streamlabs open right now. This is Google Hangouts. The reason I don't is because that would have, apparently the only way you can do a group chat with Streamlabs is if you do a screen share with Discord or whatever. And I just haven't gotten to that level. Obviously, I'm going to have to learn how to do that because Google Hangouts is disappearing. So no toe tonight, but you can definitely donate. PayPal.me/DevinJump. And obviously, Patreon.com/GospelBearer. All right, let's do this. I'm going to go to Amplified. We'll do the Amplified. I like the Amplified a lot. Oh, everybody. If you know other methods for group chat besides the Discord video, something or other, like if you can do Skype, I don't know. I don't know how yet. I don't know how yet. All a work in progress. But hello, everybody, and welcome. If you see me looking over here, I've got the chat pulled up over there on my other computer. Yeah, Skype could do it. Makes sense. I've got some stuff to figure out, guys. I'm like an old man. So you got to be patient with the old elderly people, such as myself. More time that goes by, the more old I feel. I've been doing IT stuff since 1998. You'd think I'd be able to figure it out, but I was watching my YouTube channel from that I made 12 years ago, and I was like, I don't even know how to do that now. All the stuff I was doing then, I don't even know how to do now. If I wanted to recreate some of that stuff, voiceover, all that stuff. I know it's a breeze for some people, but I've not done it for so long. It's like relearning how to ride a bike. You never forget how to ride a bike. Whatever. All right, so here we go. We're going to read Deuteronomy 7. Deuteronomy chapter 7. When the Lord your God brings you into the land which you are entering to possess, and has cleared away many nations before you, the Hittite, and the Girgashite, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when the Lord your God gives them over to you, and you defeat them, then you shall utterly destroy them. You shall not make a covenant or treaty with them, nor show mercy and compassion to them. You shall not intermarry with them. You shall not give your daughter to his son, nor shall you take his daughter for your son. Or they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other gods. Then the anger of the Lord will be kindled and burn against you, and he will quickly destroy you. But this is how you should deal with them. You shall tear down their altars and smash to pieces their sacred pillars, and cut down their Asherim, symbols of goddess Asherah, and burn their carved or sculptured images in the fire. For you are a holy people, set apart to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you out of all the peoples on the face of the earth to be a people for his own possession. That is his very special treasure. That's verses 1 through 6. We're going to keep going. And Breath of Fresh Bear and Baldy Locks and a couple others may join us tonight. Just checking out the chat over here. Clearly, professional sports are satanic. That's the kind of conclusion you would come to, isn't it? Not you personally, but just in general. Never seen anything like that so well. Toronto is known as the Six. That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's kind of awkward. What is going on? What is going on? What are we doing here? Is this? Oh, no, I don't want to do that stuff. Let's click on that, and then Larry. Yeah, just in case you want to join us, bud. Or you go off on your big trip. Feel free to join us. Checking out the chat. Hello, Greta. If you're talking about my week was busy and I still work tomorrow. Is Father's Day this Sunday? That's interesting, Goose. Wow, Whistle Boy. That is intense. All right, well, that's interesting stuff. I'm going to continue. We're on Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 7. I'm hoping that the audio is good. Good to go. Because I got this right up here. All right, let's do this. The Lord did not love you and choose you because you were greater in number than any of the other peoples. Excuse me. For you were the fewest of all peoples. But because the Lord loves you and is keeping the oath which he swore to your fathers, the Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed and bought you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Therefore, know without any doubt and understand that the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God, who is keeping his covenant and his steadfast loving kindness to 1,000 generations with those who love him and keep his commandments, but repays those who hate him to their faces by destroying them. He will not hesitate with him who hates him. He will repay him to his face. Therefore you shall keep, follow, and obey the commandment, and the statutes, and the judgments, and precepts which I am commanding you today. Excuse me. Verse 12. Then it shall come about, because you listen to these judgments, and keep and do them, that the Lord your God will keep with you the covenant and the steadfast loving kindness which he swore to your fathers. He will love you and bless you, and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your land, your grain and your new wine and your olive oil, the offspring of your cattle and the young of your flock, in the land which he swore to your fathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all peoples. There will be no male or female barren, childless, and fertile among you, or among your cattle. The Lord will take away from you all sicknesses, and he will not subject you to any harmful diseases of Egypt, which you have known, but he will impose them on all those who hate you. And you shall consume all the peoples whom the Lord your God will give over to you. Your eye shall not pity them, nor shall you serve their gods, for that would be a deadly trap to you. If you say in your heart, these nations are greater than I am, how can I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them. You shall remember with confidence what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt, the great trials which you saw with your own eyes, and the signs, the wonders, the mighty hand, and the outstretched arm by which the Lord your God brought you out. So shall the Lord your God do to all the peoples of whom you are afraid. Moreover, the Lord your God will send the hornet, his terror, against them, until those who are left and hide themselves from you perish. You shall not dread them, for the Lord your God is in your midst, a great and awesome God. The Lord your God will clear away these nations before you little by little. You will not be able to put an end to them quickly, for if you did, the wild animals would become too numerous for you. The Lord your God will hand them over to you, and will confuse them with a great panic until they are destroyed. And he will hand over their kings to you, and you will make their name perish from under heaven. No man will be able to stand before you until you have destroyed them. You shall burn the carved, sculpted images of their gods in the fire. You shall not covet the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it for yourselves, so that you will not be ensnared by it in a deadly trap. For it is an abomination repulsive to the Lord your God. You shall not bring an abomination or idol into your house, and like it come under the ban, doomed to destruction. You shall utterly detest, and you shall utterly hate it, for it is something banned. What a chapter. Deuteronomy 7. Alrighty, well, let me go back to this. Check out what's going on here in the chat. Welcome everyone. Hello Bear Arms, hello JM Zach, hello Boingo, hello Mary King. 5 in the morning. I hear you. I'm going in super early too. I plan on cutting this off at 10, so that's the plan. Dogs are fighting in over there in Hawaii. I'll have to get out of the city. I hear you, Boingo. Drake made it up. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, the cities. I know. Yeah, Ash all day will be streaming at 9:30 tonight. That's pretty late, but I suppose she's Central Standard Time as well because she's in Texas. I don't know if Texas has any Mountain Standard Time, but I assume she's on Central Standard Time. That's pretty late one. But yeah, Ash all day said that she wanted to do a stream, have me on her channel or vice versa at some point. And then Simper Bear, he wants to do something sometime. Texas is all Central Standard Time. Okay, that makes mostly makes sense. Texas is a pretty big state. But I guess that makes sense. I think Mountain Standard Time is a smaller zone, but I don't know. Yeah, it's 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, but I'm in Central Standard Time. So when I say 10 p.m., I mean 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 30 minutes after. I don't know. Maybe we'll only go to 9:30. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, I read Deuteronomy 7 to get things started. I'll update you guys. I was checking out a house that we might move to immediately. I had told you guys about how they're trying to raise the rent, and that's not really a good situation for us because it's already too tough to really survive financially as it is. So, hello, welcome.
I have returned.
Welcome back. We're live now, so I was just chatting about updating. I just went to go look at a house in the town that I live in, about, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from where I live right now.
Cool. You want
And
me to
the
do
rent-
a house inspection on it for you?
Oh gosh, it was built in 1942. It's a cinder block shell, or whatever. It's a block home.
We did it again, by the way.
What do we do? Oh, the red. Yeah, I thought that might happen. Well, maybe Baldy Locks will hook it up. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But we're waiting for him to get home. He'll be home in about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. He was already chatting, so I don't know what that's about.
That Deuteronomy section was intense.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, they were intense at the time too. So you're
like
welcome.
TENTS.
Yep.
Yeah,
The dad jokes are flowing freely tonight. I'm not stopping it.
that's the way to do it. Well, but yeah, while you're here, I mean, maybe we could run over there and you could at least check it out.
Yeah, for sure. If we need to, we got that option. I do happen to have some skills in that department.
Yeah, it's old, and it's not the Ritz-Carlton, but it seems like it's going to be a potential option. So, and it would be no less than $150 cheaper a month. So it's set at 800, but the dude that I talked to said that the guy might take 775.
Well, if he ain't going to take 700, you're going to tell him you're going to walk.
Well, the market around here is pretty ridiculous.
I believe you. I personally want you to take the house that's 1,059 miles away from you because for selfish reasons.
I hear you. Speaking of, if you're willing to talk about on stream, what was the job that you had when you were in Iowa?
I worked at an ethanol plant.
Okay.
And after that, after I got back from deployment, I actually worked at a buddy's fish farm for a little while. And that was pretty cool, learning some aquaculture stuff.
Gotcha. Were you making decent?
I was making, at the ethanol plant, I was making close to $18 an hour.
Gotcha.
At the, well, there's a state prison there as well, where it's like a youth detention center.
Yeah. I saw that.
And they pay actually a lot better. They pay anywhere from $16 to $20 an hour, depending on whether you have a degree and what your level of experience is. And that's only like 10 to 15 minutes from there. And then there's Barilla, which is the noodle plant. I'm sure you've probably seen the brand before, Barilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a facility there, and just for packaging there, they start off at like 18 an hour.
Is that the kind of place where you could lose an arm in a heartbeat?
No, not in packaging. Like, you're literally just packaging things. Like,
Oh.
if you worked in maintenance, probably, because there's a lot of robotics in maintenance, but maintenance makes upwards of like $22, $25 an hour there.
Yeah, but you need background for that kind of stuff. The reason I was asking, I just didn't know if there was like a you could talk to an old boss kind of situation.
In the social work realm, I could, because I know a lot of people in that realm too, because I worked at a private facility that did social work. And it was a privately owned company called Quakerdale, and it is a bunch of Quakers, go figure. But they actually do hire social workers a lot, and I have a lot of contacts in that area as well.
Yeah, I don't have any licensing, and you know me, I'm not interested in getting any license situation.
I feel you. But I mean, there's a lot of potential there. What's up?
Hi, Devin.
Hello.
It's my kiddos. Going back inside. Love you guys.
Nice. So funny that they said my name like that.
Yeah. I train my children to say Mr. and Mrs. and be respectful, but they just throw that out the window. So.
I'm not offended. I've been called much worse. And
hopefully not by children.
Well, when I was a child and other children, that's pretty much what I mean. But it's only my own kids, you know, that I don't want them calling me by first name. But
that makes sense.
It's not a big deal to me. It's whatever. It's your rules, you know. That's the kind of way that I would, you know, whatever a kid's parent wants to address.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of the way that I go with that. But somebody, Whistleboy, was in the chat asking if you were a vet. You're active duty though, so.
Yeah. Well, I am a vet and I'm active duty, so yeah.
Yeah, just so it's not, you don't call it X. You're an Army vet and you're an active duty Air Force. That's how you would say that?
Correct. Well, the veteran status comes after you have completed a tour and or been deployed.
Okay.
So, yes.
Gotcha.
So, yes, on both accounts.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I will tell you that when I first moved to Iowa, I went through a temp agency to get a temp to hire job.
Was it Express Employment by any chance? Express Employment Professionals? Okay, because I saw that they were really close by.
Well, where were they at? Are they in Ames?
Maybe Ames. Yeah, Ames is huge, apparently. I
was staffed through Manpower.
Okay, gotcha. So, but isn't that typically labor?
It is, but they had a lot of different job listings.
Not just muscle.
Yeah. And I mean, you could apply to places even like IDOT, like, and not have to have a ton of experience.
And the Department of Transportation, is there,
yeah.
I mean, what kind of, I don't even know what kind of jobs you do with the Department of Transportation that doesn't involve a shovel on the side of the road.
Well, I mean, you probably would start off as doing that, but like it's all union, but I mean, they start off at $25, $26 an hour. So,
yeah.
And your health insurance costs you like $30 a paycheck for your whole family. Like,
and I would dress you know, I've done, you know, work out in the sun and stuff. I would dress like the Mexicans because they know what's up.
They
Long
get it.
sleeves, 115. Well, I mean, it's Iowa, so maybe it doesn't cross 100 ever, does it? Or does
It does. Like summer in Iowa is like 4 days, so it's spring
Okay.
and fall the rest of the time. So,
Gotcha.
but no, I mean, there's a lot of like, and I started off at the temp job. I started at making like 15.50 an hour, and I got $1.50 raise after the first 3 months, and then I couldn't
Yeah.
get hired on permanent till 6 months, but then I broke my hand, so I didn't actually end up getting hired on. But they had every intention of actually hiring me on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was at a welding job, so that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of financial institutions and stuff there too. Like Wells Fargo has a big branch there as well. So
Yeah, I could do the customer service thing, face to face, a loan officer, but when it comes to like commission only sales or anything, it's just that's such a nightmare to me.
yeah, for sure.
I've contemplated the car sales, but again, kind of nightmarish, and it just feels like you're kind of giving up your soul when you do work. I'm not saying that it has to be that way, but Nate asked if we were talking about for immunity. Just to answer that question real quick, that's going to be on Sunday.
Correct.
We're going to save that until Sunday.
I'm working on a new Parmunity video right now too. Like that's like the full like moving picture slides and voiceover type stuff too.
Nate says that he's buying 48 acres. That's pretty
Nice.
impressive.
In North Carolina or South Carolina or Georgia or like somewhere in that area, I'm guessing.
Excuse me. Nate says that he doesn't think that he's invited to any group streams anymore. That's not the case. I just have to, Nate is I'm trying to think of a biblical character that has a lot of pizzazz. Should we say Zacchaeus?
Peter. Hey, Fox.
Zacchaeus? I'm just kidding.
No, it's Peter for sure. He reminds me of what Peter would have been like.
So the whole dynamic, the socio-sexual hierarchy dealio, I totally.
What in the heck is that?
The alpha, bravo, gamma, delta.
I know of it, and I know that it exists, and I know that it's a ranking system. But other than that, I don't pay any attention to it.
Owen and Vox Day are all about it. Apparently, Vox Day formulated aspects of it.
That doesn't surprise me.
But whatever the case, Delta. I think I am the Delta. And that the Delta is the one that is like, listen, your shirt is crooked. You need to fix it. And it's not like a whiny, annoying kind of thing. It's just like factual. It sounds like annoying and it sounds like critique and all that. But Deltas are typically very intelligent and they just want to help people. They just want to fix things, and they're not afraid to say what needs changed. And but they're typically kind of outcasty, and I'm not doing an excellent job of describing it per se, but
I don't have any idea what category I would fall into. I mean, I've had people say I'm an alpha male before, but I don't have any clue whether that even fits in that ranking category or not.
Boingo says that makes sense. It's just I'm a backseat driver, but it's not because I'm nitpicking. Like, it's more so like I mean well for people, and I'm like, listen, you blah blah blah. I don't know. I am a backseat driver though, and I have thought about the whole gamma situation, and I know that I'm not that. Gamma is like basically the. Do you remember my video that I said Gejo, the Gejo Mafia, and what Gejo means?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, Gejo is Esperanto. Just to decipher for everybody, Gejo is Esperanto for homosexual. So if you ever hear me say Gejo, you know who I'm talking about. But basically, gammas are Gejos, and I'm getting a.
Oh, so now everybody will just say the word gamma instead of gay. Is that where that comes from?
Yeah. I mean, you can be a heterosexual and also be a gamma, but gammas are the types of people that are whiny, that are soy. So basically, the entire soy spectrum, all gamma.
Okay.
With the whole the people on Owen's stream that do the whole concerned troll,
Oh, God.
all are in the gamma spectrum. I'm concerned about you. I'm worried about you. That's all gamma. So the
I
whole
can't take that.
What's that? Oh, I know.
I can't take that. Like, that's just like, okay, you're not concerned about me. Like, you just want attention. Stop it.
There's a channel on YouTube, several channels on YouTube that are devoted to talking nothing at all except just all about Owen and how he's not a Christian, and that's all they do. Not all their videos, but like a good portion of their videos are devoted. For some reason, I'm getting a spinning wheel on the stream. I can hear you just fine, but I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna reload on my PC here, but I don't know what was going on. This seems to be fine. It was just spinning on my computer, so maybe it's just fine.
So you were talking about earlier that that Bigby Lupo put out a video on geoengineering the other day.
On weather.
Like weather manipulation, geoengineering.
Yeah, weather manipulation, and he blames it on the Navy, actually. At least that's what I read in the description. Bigby Lupo, his videos are extremely well done. He's got a very interesting perspective on.
I think I was actually subbed to Bigby Lupo before I was subbed to Owen. I'm fairly certain. Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like
he's
got a lot of conspiratorial videos, and I'm into that kind of stuff. So yeah.
He doesn't have a lot. He has like under 20 videos, as far as I remember. And he's big on minds.com. So I have a minds.com account, but people are
because the last video I posted was on weather manipulation too, and I posted it as kind of an irony thing just to see how people would react. And like nobody reacted at all as how I thought they were going to react. Everybody was like, "This isn't true." I was like, "Well, obviously it's not true," but I just kind of wanted to see what everybody's opinion was. So, like, not that the geoengineering part of it's not true. This guy that was being interviewed was like, "Yeah, if everything keeps going the way it's going right now, like all plant life or all plant and animal life is going to hit the 0 mark at 2026." And I was like,
what is the 0 mark? What does that even mean?
Like extinction, mass level die off.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the heavy metal poisoning, like there's a lot of scientific proof out there saying that there's mass die off of like insect species and stuff like that due to heavy metal poisoning. And
I don't think anything is gonna. I don't know. There's some things that can make the world change in a matter of a couple of years, but it's not. It's usually like this one species of thing that just dies off, like the wormwood, the wormy chestnut, for instance. Have you heard of wormy chestnut?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, so that was a type of wood, chestnut tree, that I don't even know if it exists in America anymore because it's completely died off. It had some disease like back 60 years ago, 80 years ago, 100 years ago. I can't remember when, but there are certain species of trees that are like non-existent now, both because of deforestation and because of disease. A similar thing could happen to the bees.
Yeah, well, this was directly related to heavy metal poisoning, like because of the fact that like they're spraying heavy metals in the atmosphere is basically what this guy's premise is. And they're spraying heavy metals in the atmosphere. It's going to kill all of us by 2026. Extinction level event. Done. Everybody's gone. And I'm like, and the guy that was interviewing him is like mega super like diehard. Everything in the Bible is true Christian. And like, he's just like, yeah. Like, this is a big, serious problem. And I'm like, bro, like, read 5 verses in the Bible and you know that's not how the world ends. Like that's
Exactly.
we don't die from a mass level extinction event. Like we are definitely not going down like that. We can read in the Bible exactly how the world's going to end. And I've got news for you. Even if the tribulation started tomorrow, we've still got minimum 1,007 years on this rock. So pretty sure we're going to have to eat and drink and be alive during that 1,007 years.
Yeah, and I personally, I am not a pre-trib guy.
Oh, neither am I.
I don't think that the pre-trib is biblically sound. Somebody said who just joined. He's a mug clubber. That would be Molly. Now, by the way, there's that whole drama between Owen and Crowder. And the other day, Owen Benjamin had done this little bit where he was reading from, what's it called? Urban Dictionary. And he said, ha, ha, ha. He didn't say it just like this. I'm paraphrasing, but ha, ha, ha. They've been talking about Steven Crowder since 2008 or 1998 or whatever year it was. It was many years ago. And they said a crowder, somebody that goes to the bathroom and goes to the stall right next to the other guy that's using one, even though there's 9 urinals available. He chooses the one that's right next to the other guy. So at first I was like, oh my gosh, that's so weird that they would have been talking, because I'm very literal. I'm a little autistic.
Right, I get it.
And I'm like, that's so weird that they would have done this word on Urban Dictionary all these years ago about Crowder. That's so weird. And it took me literally a day. And I was like, oh, okay. So like the way that I finally realized the word to crowd and a crowder. And I thought, okay. So the moral of the story is either Owen is literally retarded and he actually thinks that's about Steven Crowder, or he was just making a hysterical joke, and it actually is hysterical to act as though that is about Steven Crowder, even though. So as long as he knows that isn't about Steven Crowder, this is all fine.
I'm going to go with the latter because he's really quick intellectually.
He's pretty smart. But I just thought that would be pretty pathetic if it was the other way around. I know
it would be, but it's hysterical. The second one.
It actually is hilarious to pretend that that's about Steven Crowder like 15, 20 years ago. I think the timing worked out. I think it was 10 years ago. So I think it was like 2008. And I was like, 10 years ago, Steven Crowder was like 21 or, he was young. So, so I was like, that's so funny. That's so weird. But then I finally, I'm not going to say that that's gullible. It's my literal thinking. It's just the way that I think literally.
How's it going, Baldy? You're not muted anymore. How's your life?
I'm pretty good, man. I'm exhausted. It's been a long week.
I hear you on that.
I had to take a shower because I'm pretty sure you guys would smell me through the YouTubes, but I spent the day in an attic, so.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Florida in an attic is ridiculous.
Gruesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll address that. Did Nate leave? Nate left for some reason.
Dropped again.
Oh, I don't know why he left.
It's probably his phone. I don't know. He's been having issues.
He was on mute, and then all of a sudden he dropped. So
his phone burns up.
Yeah. So anyway, on the Crowder stuff. So first of all, I did have a Mug Club subscription, and I did enjoy Mug Club, and I still enjoy the mug because it is a girthy mug.
Yeah.
And it's very good for Coke and whiskey. And
pick some of that
anyway. Yep. It doesn't keep coffee warm. Coffee gets cold way too fast, but it will it does good with the liquor. Anyway, so here's my thing with Owen and Crowder, because I'm actually annoyed with Owen that he didn't call out Crowder sooner. over the Sven and the not gay Jared stuff because
all of that. The gay
all of
stuff
that.
is
The gay stuff's whatever. It's just whatever. That's his humor, whatever. Like that's just how he goes after sexuality. That's his go-to. You know, he did it with he did it with all of them. But anyway, I'm actually like I'm kind of annoyed because I'm like, dude, you were telling us he was a good guy, and man, the signs were there that he actually really wasn't a good guy with the way he treated Sven and the way he treated. He's having technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Talking about Nate. Anyway, and the way Jared left, like my buddies and I that all watch Crowder, we were all like, that's just weird how Jared left so quickly.
Yeah.
And like noticed that they said, oh, well, you know, Jared will come back and visit. He still hasn't. It's been like, what, 8 months or something like that? So, and if you go on, and I'm all things considered, I am a conspiracy theorist, so I enjoy creating stuff where there may not be. I enjoy it. So, but it is interesting that, like, if you go to Instagram, Jared follows everybody but Crowder, and all the guys that are involved with the show follow Jared except Crowder. It's like how interesting that. Yeah. So, and I mean, it's no offense, ladies that might be watching, but it's definitely a chick move to be like, well, I'm not going to follow you on Instagram or whatever. But it's telling, in my opinion, like something's going on with that.
I would ask my wife anything about Instagram because I've never used it and don't even know how.
So here's the awful thing. I just got on Instagram, I don't know, just a few months ago because Nate's back. Because Twitter banned me. And so I was like, well, you know, I got a temporary suspension or whatever. So I was like, well, let me try Instagram because Owen's on there anyway. So
I got banned from Instagram.
You got banned from Instagram. I haven't been banned from Instagram yet. I don't know why. I mean, I posted
It's hard to get banned from Instagram.
It is hard.
I had to let people know that gays were inferior to straights at least 10 times.
So I'm kind of surprised that I didn't get banned over the last thing I did because I actually put I made a Pride Month meme where it was a rainbow. Yeah. Every month's Father's Month. Anyway, that's what we get told when it's, you know, Black Pride Month or whatever. Black History Month. Every other month's White History Month. But anyway, the Pride Month thing, I made a rainbow colored meme and I put, oh my goodness, the scripture that said, here, I'm gonna look it up real quick because I don't want to get it wrong. I'm so bad with.
You mean like the homosexuality
references?
Abomination?
It's not the abomination one. It's the one that they will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. And the reason why I like that one is because it doesn't just single out homosexuality. It talks about people that are thieves and slanderers and liars. And it's like, yeah, guess what? All these things are really crappy, and God doesn't like it. And if you don't repent, you're not going to heaven. And so anyway. So I put that scripture up. Oh my gosh, dude. I lost like 10 followers in like 30 minutes. It was funny. Anyway.
Did I ruin your whole story?
No, somebody else talk.
Yeah, it was me.
I'm looking up my scripture.
I can't get Hangouts to work on the computer.
Well, all of a sudden, I don't have the button that used to exist on Google Hangouts. There used to be an audio mixer symbol so that I could adjust everybody's microphone, and all of a sudden that symbol no longer exists on Google Hangouts. They said
nice.
On tonight's, it said, later this year, Google Hangouts will no longer exist. Try YouTube/webcam. I don't know what that really means. I don't know if you can still invite people in a different way, but obviously we're going to have to start using like Skype or Discord, and I'll use Streamlabs. But
yeah. Jeez, Nate.
By the way,
Well,
If there was an actual alternative that people would actually go to and a lot of people used, I would use it now because YouTube is just making me mad on so many levels.
Discord.
It's getting ready to disappear.
Oh,
I'll be
I
right
did the
back,
math.
Okay.
was somebody saying something?
I'll be right back.
Okay, that's fine.
Hey, real
I
quick,
did
you did the math. 1 second. 1 Corinthians 6,
I
9, and
couldn't tell
10.
whether he said math or map.
He said
I couldn't-
math.
math.
Or
Okay.
do you not know that wrongdoers will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who have sex with men, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkards, nor slanderers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. Hashtag Pride Month. Anyway, I really thought that might get me banned because it did get me a lot of hate, but it didn't work. Anyway, do your math.
So, $169 million is, I believe, the monthly. No, I think that's actually the annual. I think the annual cost for YouTube is $169 million. And that involves storage, bandwidth. Yeah, storage and bandwidth. That does not include infrastructure for the storage, right? Because that's a
Okay.
whole different story. But in regards to electricity cost, in regards to bandwidth cost, in regards to actual,
Like the overhead. Their overhead to operate is 169 million.
so 170, whatever, annually. So and think about how many, over 1 billion people use YouTube in a year. I mean, it's stupid big, right?
Sure.
So if you were to have 1% of the audience base, just 1% of that, and you could also equivocate that to the money, $1.7 million of an annual budget, it starts to not look nearly as daunting to compete, at least on a tiny scale. If you could be 1% of what YouTube is, I think you'd have a fighting chance because I think it would snowball eventually. As long as what you had had all the right measures in place for protection. In regards to my understanding about internet law, and you might know a little bit more, Chuck, but if there's I don't think that there's any websites in America that we can't visit because we're in America. Am I wrong about that?
Unless it's a .gov or an .edu website, then no.
What do you mean, like Kenya.gov? Is that what you mean?
Well, you said in this country that we can't access because we're in this country.
Yeah.
Are
So,
you
like,
talking
like if North
You're talking
Korea has a
externally.
website, if there's a server in North Korea and it's like a, I don't know, pro-North Korea website, are we restricted from visiting that website because the American government doesn't want us visiting that?
No, it would be because the North Korean government doesn't want you visiting it.
Okay. So there's not any situation where America is prohibiting Americans from going to a specific website that exists.
Oh, sure.
Well, there's some illegal. Yeah, there's some illegal websites with like child pornography and child trafficking and illegal arms dealership and stuff there. You can only get there on the dark web. Those are all illegal, and you technically shouldn't. You can get access to it, but it's illegal. If that's what you're saying.
That's what I was wondering. Here's what I'm
There
wondering.
are websites that you are not allowed to go to because you are in America. Yes.
Okay, well, I know that like terrorist organizations and stuff like that, it would be an act of treason potentially or something. But here's what I'm
Or
thinking.
because they don't want you accessing the news basically from other countries because
Well, I mean, we can
the
go
anti-propaganda
to Al
laws
Jazeera.
were repealed like 10 years ago, and now they can basically lie to us as much as they want to. So I do
you're talking
believe that
about
there
like
is.
the Patriot Act stuff.
Yeah, it repealed the anti-propaganda laws, which now they can use propaganda on us as citizens, and it's not illegal anymore. It was clear up until about 10 years ago for them to use propaganda on us.
So here's what I was thinking.
But yes, there is definitely website filtering going on.
If we built a warehouse in Madagascar.
Right.
And it was all solar powered. It had a nice solar field, tons of sun. You know, it's an island pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I don't know much about Madagascar for the reference, or, you know, for anybody that knows a lot about Madagascar. I'm just assuming Madagascar is relatively barren and not extremely urban. I'm sure there's some buildings and cities and stuff on that, because it's a pretty big island. But I'm just thinking a random far off place that doesn't have it. Madagascar never shows up in the news. I'm just picking a random country. So I'm thinking you build a massive warehouse of servers in Madagascar under the Madagascar government, and you host everything there. And I guess what could eventually happen is America like I'm talking about like a free speech center and all that, a YouTube that doesn't have censorship. The thing is, I kind of lean on the side of some of the things that you know, that Box Day has said in regards to limiting and or prohibiting you know, the whole his idea of clean speech. Now I haven't listened to all of it. I don't understand all of it, but
I haven't heard any of it.
All I'm saying
Hey,
is
I've got to find a way to charge my phone real quick. So hold on just a second. I'm listening in the background, but I'm going to mute myself and try to
that's fine.
find a charge.
That's fine.
All right.
I'm just thinking, you know, prohibiting all devices basically. If people are wanting to do, huh?
So my issue is
I'm talking about like porn, gambling, addiction.
right.
Like
the problem is, as soon as you start heading down the road of this is a vice, so it should be eliminated, then that's a very interesting situation we got there, Chuck.
It depends
But anyway,
on who's in charge, though.
well, yeah, and that's the problem, because who's in charge is probably going to change. You know what I mean? It's not going to be the same person forever, and that's the whole thing. Like, you have these conservatives,
like America, right?
like America. When I was growing up, I grew up in a very conservative environment, and all these people were talking about making homosexuality illegal, making talking certain ways illegal. And they wanted to limit speech, and they used the FCC as basically an arm of the government in order to censor people from saying things that they felt were offensive. And most of the people in my circle of friends and my parents' circle of friends were all on board with this. And I thought it was crazy, because even as not even quite a teenager yet, I'm sitting here going, because like 91, 92, I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, how long before they say it's hate speech to preach the Bible? Like, this isn't that complex of an issue to figure out. All it takes is somebody in charge that says, yep, it's hate speech to say that being gay will send you to hell, or any other sin. It's hate speech to say that, you know, alcoholism will say, Nate, you can invite Nate if you want, but it's just going to be an argument. Homosexuality being illegal is ridiculous. You should shame it. It should be culturally unacceptable. But sending people to prison for it just leads.
People won't.
People won't what?
Because they don't. They don't shame.
I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, we don't shame because we're gutless. We don't shame because we're gutless, and so we're worried we might lose it. Yeah, because we've slowly let it slip away. Because we've slowly been. This is why Republicans lose, because they're playing a totally different game. Conservatives lose because they're playing a totally different game, and they try and play by the rules that the other side sets up, and that's crazy.
So here's what I was thinking today.
Principles. Anyway, go ahead with what you were talking about.
I hear what you're saying with the principles thing, but I was thinking about this randomly today. Hello, Reserve Name Bear. I wondered if Reserve Name Bear would show up. Because Boingo Bear was here as well. Welcome, Shane Bears, as well. And welcome, Fistio Doyle Bear. I haven't seen you in a long time, Fistio Doyle, but nice to see you here. Christopher Davis, nice to see you. Sweetie, welcome. Your name makes me feel uncomfortable, but I'm glad you're here. Let's see. I just want to say hello to everybody. Nate is invited. The invitation doesn't disappear, so I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, you can go back on there and jump back in. So here, this was the only thing I was going to say. When you were talking about like Madagascar, the problem with, because I like where your head's at with that trying to get a server somewhere else. The problem is you're going to want your servers in a place that has free speech constitutionally protected, and those places are very rare.
Or you just...
Well, you could ghost it too, where nobody could figure out where it was, or limit access to it.
I'm thinking that, but I'm also thinking of like cocaine drug lords, and not that there's any in Madagascar, but I'm thinking of like places like Colombia and stuff. Like,
you just pay them a fee and say, "Don't. This doesn't exist."
Listen, you're going to be my gun. You're going to be my bodyguard. Your property backs up to where I'm planning on putting this, and you're going to make some money from me. I know you do some stuff, and and this is obviously sounding extremely, borderline with with the morals and stuff. But all right, so here's what my thoughts were today. I was thinking, why does it seem like, I was thinking about the concept of equilibrium. And why does it seem that conservatives that hypothetically want to preserve the moral law, godly laws, so on and so on, hypothetically, that's what you would... It seems as though there would be such a thing as an equilibrium, but there's not. It's actually, in practice, if you look at history, there's a pendulum, or mountains and valleys. There's change constantly, and there's not an equilibrium at all. Change is the one thing that you can expect if you look at history. Now, some things obviously repeat themselves.
That change is the one constant, yeah.
But I was just thinking about liberals and how they're wanting to move to this and move to that hypothetically. When I'm saying hypothetically, I mean in the most general sense. That's really what I don't know a good word for in the generally, just generally. Maybe I should just say generally. But conservatives generally want stability. Liberals generally want change. But I was thinking about America and how it started in one direction in an intention towards a standard, towards something that could always be a tether. And what has definitely not happened is the tether. What has happened is that the tether has been broken or unattached. And I'm not actually sure if it was an event, a one-time thing that really broke it, or if it was literally just a drifting. I don't know if you guys could answer that a little bit better, whether or not there was.
I would say it was intentionally broken, but yeah, that's just me.
I'm trying to unhook my mic because I'm gonna go get some more liquid. I'll be right back, guys. You keep on talking. I can hear you.
Sure. But yeah, I would say that it was intentionally broken, and it happened right about the time that 9/11 happened with the Patriot Act and everything else, where they could basically legally start spying on their own citizens, and then from there everything just devolved. Like that would be the time frame I would say that things started really super falling apart. But it might have been a little bit earlier than that, actually. I don't know. What do you think, Jeremy?
I'm half listening because I'm paying attention to nonsense in the chat. But anyway.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Sorry. So,
when I'm watching YouTube, I just read the chat and I just like half listen to what's going on and the actual conversation. So my wife gets so annoyed because I'll be listening to something not in headphones. Mm-hmm. And she'll go, "What do you think about that?" And I'm like, I'm sorry, I was reading the chat. Yeah. So she'll want to have a conversation. I'm like, I would have to rewind or whatever. Anyway, so what was he talking about? I'm sorry, you got to go back a little bit. Okay, so Devin said that he was thinking about where America started basically, and how it was kind of like there was a tether that we could always go back to, like as far as like this is as far out of the range as of like the conservative liberal swing or whatever, but there was always kind of a tether there that kind of tied you in. and
The
how that tether's
Constitution.
kind of been broken. Well, yeah, obviously it's referring to the Constitution, but
I gotcha.
that tether's kind of been broken, and it's been allowed to extremely deviate from where it should have been allowed to swing. The pendulum should have been allowed to swing. So now it's like a reckless pendulum that's swinging way too far to the other side. And I said that I personally think that it was broken intentionally, and it would have happened right about the range of somewhere at or just before 9/11 happened.
Hey, I just wanted to say
Yeah.
hello to Melchizedek. I just want to say Melchizedek. It's just he does a goofy thing with separating his name.
Gotcha.
He's
I
from
see it.
Ash All Day's channel, and what I mean by he's from that channel, he's friends with her or something. He shows up. They do like interviews together and stuff. He's a pretty interesting guy. I don't know too much about him because I've really only watched one interview, but he asked special request for us to talk about Galatians 5. So maybe we could get there in a few minutes after we kind of wrap up this conversation.
Yeah. So part of my thing, I think it's interesting how people get confused about America sometimes because they talk about conservative versus liberal, or I'll say it this way, conservative versus progressive. And I think it's kind of funny because the founders were creating the most progressive documents in human history at the time. The idea that individuals had God-given rights that were not extended by the state, but the state was responsible for ensuring that they weren't infringed upon, that was like unheard of. And that the state could not use the church to manipulate the people. That was unheard of. Like that's, so we come from conservatives now would not have their idea of trying to conserve would not have been popular back when our country was founded, because it was founded on progressive ideas based on principles that, you're right, were tethered to Scripture. The idea that property rights, individual rights, personal responsibility, all these things come from God, and either by a gift from God or responsibility to God. And that's kind of how, if you read through it from that perspective, like that is very progressive. And now we've got people that want to revert back to ideas that were tried with the Greeks and ideas that were tried, I mean, just thousands of times, that resulted in death and destruction and horribleness. But anyway.
I would disagree with you on one point, Baldy, and that is the fact that you said trying to. They are doing it. I said that.
Oh, yeah. No, they're succeeding. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're not trying. They're doing it. Like, they're.
Yeah.
So
they're being successful.
Random question for you guys.
It's not random. You thought it up.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I pulled the chat up on my phone because it's a little bit easier than looking over my computer. What do you think it would be like? And you don't answer too quickly. Just think about it for a second. What do you think it would be like if fornication was illegal?
If pre-fornication was illegal, you're saying?
No, just fornication, period.
Fornication, illegal. Just like hypothetically, suicide is illegal, which is really confusing to me because I guess you have to fail at suiciding in order to be convicted of an attempted suicide.
No. It's illegal in the sense that, like, if you kill yourself, it has to be illegal, because if you kill yourself, then they don't have to pay out your life insurance. Because you technically.
Well, that's not true, because life insurance have
that's a private. That's a private policy.
No, hold on. I used to do life insurance, life insurance agent, for 2 years, and at least the company that I was with, 2 years. After 24 months, if you committed suicide, your policy would pay out 100%. But what it is they don't want you to buy a bunch of life insurance and then kill yourself because you're just trying to help your family out in an altruistic, psychopathic way. and they assume that 24 months is enough time to change your mind, basically. But seriously, that's I don't know if that's universal across all companies, but the company that I was with is Torchmark. It's American Income, but it's under this massive company called Torchmark. And they have, if you guys want a stock that doesn't stop going up, does not stop, just look at it. That's all. Just a 45-degree angle, nothing but 45 degrees. Just look
Devin,
at it.
from my point of view, that's going straight down.
That's true. You got to go the other way.
The other arm.
You're showing it going off a cliff, dude. Anyway, so what's your point with the fornication thing? Like what would making it illegal do?
Okay, so like my question is, how?
Well, that was his question to us. Is like what?
Yeah. How would it change our country? What would it look like for fornication to be illegal?
So if fornication was illegal, you would have 320 million lawbreakers, because
and they would got to reduce that number a little bit, dude.
What's your definition of fornication? Are you just saying outside of marriage?
Yeah, I'm just straight up sex out of marriage. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
what are
first of all, it's just.
Are you trying to include masturbation?
I'm including all. No, I'm including all sexual activity. I go what you're saying now. You're saying
I'm literally talking
outside the bounds of marriage.
Okay, let me clarify. If we're going to use legal terminology, I'm talking about copulation outside of marriage.
Gotcha. So they tried doing this with sodomy, where sodomy, there's still laws on the books against sodomy, and the reality is, yeah, there's no way of enforcing those things. There's no way of enforcing a law where you would have to break into somebody's bedroom.
Sorry for interrupting, but Nate, you're super
impatient.
You're impatient. Chill out. I sent another invite, even though the previous invite is still valid.
No, he said that he's having technical difficulty still. That's what he said.
Well, he said he was so annoyed that I wouldn't send another invite. It's the same invite, but I sent another one. So, all right, Baldy Locks, go ahead and finish up, man.
Oh goodness.
No, but it was the same thing with the sodomy laws. It's that you can't. How are you going to enforce that? Are you going to bust down people's doors? And you can say in public that's illegal, right?
No, it's more like a honor system when somebody's like, "Hey, we had he tried to have relations, or he had That'd be about like
by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses.
It would come down to the same thing as like marijuana today. Like it's technically illegal federally across the entire government, but everybody freaking does it, and there's no way to really enforce it unless you get caught doing it. Like
it's not about.
Well, and that's but.
Listen, I got good news. How y'all doing?
I have good news too.
well,
it's called the gospel, and it is.
That's it.
I just got here. Yeah, well, mine is newer.
Okay.
So,
touche.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, I was trying to get on, and I was having all kinds of technical difficulties because I was trying to put it on my computer. Since everyone knows that when I put it on my phone, I just get a whole bunch of overheating and everything. And I realized the problem I was having was that I wasn't pressing one button, which was join. And so I was losing my mind trying to figure out what was going wrong.
Well, your audio is a lot better from the PC. That's
yeah, I'm borrowing my brother's computer, so I've been able to stream again.
Oh, very cool.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, and I'm putting up mine and Chuck's old streams. Everyone keeps sending me messages saying, I didn't get the notification when you guys were live.
Very kind of your not actually gay brother.
Huh?
Yeah, that happened. Huh?
He's gay.
I kind of side with Sing Along Bear on that. Just I don't know.
Oh, I told him today he's not gay. He's just acting gay.
I think that Sing Along Bear has a special kind of intuition, and I think that it's almost on the verge of prophetic in that regard. She doesn't get everything right, but none of us do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that okay, so this is why I'm so impatient. So I got done with work, and then I went up to a town, and then climbed through the woods and trekked for probably an hour around 48 acres that I'm going to be buying. It was pretty freaking sweet. I got to this part where there was like a wide, it's all like bramble and trees, and it's a wide open field with 2 trees and a stream, and I'm going to put a house there. So that's my good news.
It's awesome. Part of just we're going to talk more about Farmunity on Sunday.
Fornication should be illegal.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What? What'd you just say?
Fornication
should be illegal.
Should be illegal.
Yeah.
Illegal.
Okay. We'll get to that.
Because
I just wanted to.
The answer to all our problems is more government. Clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
They do everything well. They do everything well. So the more I can involve them in my life, the better. And the best part is, if we add more laws, then they're going to need more taxes, and I will gladly send them more taxes.
Right.
So, I'm sorry. Am I not supposed to be sarcastic? I'm sorry. I missed a few streams.
50% taxes at least.
Listen, all
Minimum.
I'm saying is that if a state, hypothetically Alabama,
Sure.
because they're winning in a lot of areas regarding the law.
Whistleblower, fuck you. How about that? Sorry,
if Alabama made fornication illegal, it might be a better state to live in. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, back to the Farmunity.
You know what that's going to cause, though, is for the divorce rate to go through the roof.
Not necessarily.
We were married when we were doing it.
What it'll happen is
the
the
marriage rate would go up like crazy.
Sure, but then you get married.
A picture of beer.
in a church state.
I think all 4 of us should talk at once.
Is that a 40? Is that
There's 5 of us
16
now.
ounces of beer?
No,
wanted
he
to
doesn't
finish my
drink
thought.
because he's a coward. He couldn't even drink a White Claw.
I don't drink because I don't like the taste of
This is
alcohol.
his White Claw.
What is he drinking?
Spiced cider.
Yeah, something gay like that.
Spiced cider. Okay, that's fine. As long as it's not
I've
high
had
in,
3 White Claws.
as long as it's not high in sugar. Let me finish my Farmunity talk situation. All I'm trying to say is that what we're doing with Farmunity is meant to be not a one and only we've got it, but more so a replicatable situation. Something that can be taken by many, many people, and there's not just this one. We've got it going on. We're so cool, but more so, hey, this is the program. This is kind of how we're doing it, and you can do it too. And
kind of be like almost a video log, really, of how we did it and do it. So that's kind of the idea.
All right.
Nate, you got to get out of this pissing contest with Whistleboy. Just let it go, dude.
I don't have time.
Let it go.
I don't have time to fight with him, so I gotta just.
Well, then don't read. Then don't read what he put. I just. You have the ability to avert your eyes, right? Pay attention to us instead of him. Then.
Look at Baldy and his glorious beard.
I can't respond to everything, but this is a great example of why libertarianism is based in cowardice. Because
I'm not a coward, because I will literally shame people for homosexuality, and I will shame them for pre-fornication. I will tell them that they're going to hell if they don't change their ways. I'm not going to ask daddy government, please enforce a law, because I can't preach from the pulpit the truth. I need a law because I'm too scared to actually tell the truth. That depending on the government to solve your problems is not toughness, and the opposite is not cowardice.
There's a difference between enforcing a law and making a law, and there's a difference between
why make a law if you're not going to enforce it?
Hey guys, I got news for you. God already made a law, and everybody ignored that. So
exactly.
Also, the government won't protect you because it's corrupt anyway.
Touche, salesman. Touche.
Well, I'm there. I'm with you.
Devin, you need your 2 cents.
Gospel
just-
Bear, he was saying I wasn't.
Devin looked off screen instantly as soon as I said that. He's like, nope.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I was handling the chat room that I haven't been paying attention to. I didn't realize
He
that people were getting.
called me a baby for trying to fix a technical difficulty.
Well,
and
first
then he
of all,
said I
you
couldn't
have-
have any sex, and that's why I wanted fornication to be illegal. I don't
That's
have
fine.
Which, if you weren't taking it personally, you would just laugh because
Exactly.
incel is a hilarious insult. Just laugh it off.
I didn't even know what that meant.
I thought
What is it?
Involuntary celibacy. Involuntary celibacy is what an incel is. It's honestly, it's a great cut down. No offense, I'm not calling you that, Nate,
No,
but it's a
listen.
pretty good cut down. Anyway,
you could,
Fuck him. He doesn't even know me. He's been mocking.
Incel-
well, that's why you laugh at it.
I had
He doesn't
no
know
idea
you.
that that's
I'm
what
not in the
that
mood
meant.
to laugh at it.
Get thicker
But
skin,
incel
man.
is actually hilarious. That's
Fuck,
a
I
funny
just-
word.
No,
I just got a text from my wife that said I'm
You
yelling.
fucking
Sorry,
know
guys.
this shit. Huh?
my
Yeah,
laptop.
calm it down, Baldy. You're just screaming at everyone.
I know
I'm-
your
it's
mic
just
is
'cause I'm a-
already.
It's just because I'm a coward.
You know
That's
how much.
true.
You know how much. No, I've said you aren't a coward. Libertarianism is cowardice. You depart from libertarianism.
And it's the opposite of it. I mean, that the fact that you don't
I
need.
think that it's been psyoped. Let's go ahead and throw that out there. Just because
Absolutely. I mean, dude,
Just
the
like
fact that
everything.
all of these people on both sides are claiming to be libertarian is insane. So, but whatever.
Well, I think it's a primary example of how terminology is misunderstood, and what things actually stood for and or do stand for possibly, but now it doesn't stand for that because the terminology has all changed because people have watered it down. I mean,
Yeah.
just saying, like it's just everything today, like that you say, you could be like, I stand for this, and people are like, oh yeah, well that's dumb, and you're like, how is that dumb? It's like the only thing to stand for, and they're like, oh yeah, well I know this guy that he's a libertarian or he's a Nazi or whatever, and he's just a dumb person, and I hate them, and I'm like, okay, well how does that? I don't fit with that. Like, that's not what I am. And they're like, yeah, but everybody is. And it's like, no, now you're just watering down terms. Like, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
The main point is with this guy Whistleboy that everyone likes to team up on me with personal insults because I'll
Oh,
talk
boy.
tough, and it's really gay because it's like you see me get upset about a personal attack on me, so everyone jumps on it and says I should deal with it because I'm supposedly personally attacking
Nate,
everybody.
I want to
Really?
ask you a very serious question real
dealing with
quick.
issues. So if that kind of shit continues, I'll just leave and go to bed because I'm not in the mood for it. I deal with it all day from the atheist mocking God and everything else. So
Nobody's
personal
attacking you.
attacks, I'm not in the mood for right now.
Nate, can I ask you a question though?
Sure.
Do you not intentionally call people out on things to get under their skin?
He absolutely does.
I thought I was asked that goddamn question.
I don't care.
I'm just saying, like, do you not do that? Like, if you're gonna do that, like, you can't get mad when people do it to you. Like, you can't.
No, it's completely different.
Can't do it.
It's completely different. If I
It's
if
how
I
is it
have
different? Like,
2
you
minutes to
say
finish the
things like you
conversation-
would cuss on stream to Devin just because it got under his skin.
That's not true.
That's
not true.
100% true.
No, it's not.
You did it with a grin on your face, bro. It's all good. I obviously invite you back because it's actually not a huge deal, but
It's not true. It's not true. And I don't personally call out people until they start attacking me personally. I attack ideas, and then people attack me personally, and so I attack them back personally. I cussed on Devin's stream because I cuss normally, and there was no ground rules for not cussing. And then all of a sudden he started treating me like a child because I did that, and so there was a big thing about it. But it was not me specifically doing it to piss him off. It was me doing it as I normally speak, which is how I do it all the time. Once he started clamping down on me in public with no warning, treating me like a child and embarrassing me, that's when I responded. I never attacked.
That's actually not true because he went on a private chat and you responded publicly to a private chat, including screenshots. And I so do not want to go down this whole trail again because it's a complete waste of time. Can we talk about Galatians 5 instead?
Galatians
Yes.
5 would be beautiful. Good grief, guys. It's such a pathetic topic, though, for real, for real. I would like to talk about the
I'm this
Bible.
close to
because
just going to bed.
That's, dude. Your threat is not painful whatsoever. I'm
All right, then I'll
thankful.
do it. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Hey, I'll-
I don't understand why that is like a threat at all. Actually, all right. Christ
Hey.
has set us free. Go ahead.
I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
See you later, bro.
No, I'm just kidding.
Galatians 5. You guys are here voluntarily. This isn't. You're
I
not
know
supposed
that-
to be here.
No,
Everything-
Devin,
Listen,
There's
he was
nothing
he
more
was- he was saying
voluntary
it
than
ironically.
YouTube.
Let me say something else. This isn't a special club.
No.
We're just hanging out. We're not that cool. If you're hanging
No.
out with us and you're enjoying yourself, good for you. I'm glad. That's nice. But we're straight up just hanging out, talking, having fun. And if you're not interested in that, then go have fun somewhere else or read your Bible. You know, one or the other, or both, because that's what we're actually doing is both. Let me do this. Stop. I hate it when it like. Okay, there we go. Can we go? Okay. All right, so this is going to be ESV just because that's what I have pulled up right now. All right, Galatians 5. Christ has set us free. I'm not going to read. I just did, but I'm not going to read the headers. For
I
freedom.
don't believe you.
Well, I'm just saying I accidentally read it, and I'm not going to do it anymore. For freedom. I love this verse, actually. This is great. For freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery. Look, I, Paul, say to you that if you accept circumcision, Christ will be of no advantage to you. I testify again to every man who accepts circumcision that he is obligated to keep the whole law. You are severed from Christ, you who would be justified by the law. You have fallen away from grace. For through the Spirit, by faith, we ourselves eagerly wait for the hope of righteousness. For in Christ Jesus, neither circumcision nor uncircumcision counts for anything, but only faith working through love. You were running well. Who hindered you from obeying the truth? This persuasion is not from him who calls you. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. By the way, all fermentation works that way, just for the like kombucha stuff, just for the record. But anyway, we'll move on. I have confidence in the Lord that you will take no other view, and the one who is troubling you will bear the penalty, whoever he is. But if I, brothers, still preach circumcision, why am I still being persecuted? In that case, the offense of the cross has been removed. I wish those who unsettle you would emasculate themselves. With an exclamation mark. I didn't say it with enough power because I wish they would chop their body parts off, their man parts off. That's pretty serious language. For you were called to freedom, brothers. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love, serve one another. For the whole law is fulfilled in one word. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. But if you bite and devour one another, almost what was happening moments ago. Watch out that you are not consumed by one another. But I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the desires of the flesh are against the Spirit, and the desires of the Spirit are against the flesh. For these are opposed to each other, to keep you from doing the things you want to do. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are evident: sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissensions, divisions, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these. That really opens it up, by the way. I warn you, as I warned you before. I warn you as I warned you before, that those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. I'm going to start this verse over. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. And those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live by the Spirit, let us also keep in step with the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, envying one another. So an example, by the way, that's the end of chapter 5 of Galatians, my friends. An example of provoking one another would be criticizing somebody's sexual life, by the way, whistle boy. I'm just saying we should speak to each other with love, and an unmarried person should never be criticized for their sexual activity. That's
or lack of it thereof.
Yeah, or that's ridiculous. So that's my comments on that situation. Apparently, Bear Arms left good night, or maybe he was saying good night to somebody. I don't know. What? Oh,
He retract.
No, I don't know what's going on.
Why'd he retract it? I don't know what he did. Anyway. Anyway, that's an awesome passage. I love that passage. There's a lot of depth to that too. But
Yeah.
the couple things, the 22 and 23. So how most people read that and how it probably should be read, where it says against such things there is no law, is, you know, clearly when you go back to the Torah, there is no law that would prohibit any activity that would be rooted in any of those attitudes, right? Or any of the action that would result from those things. So
I think
that's
about
how a lot
that
of people
actually
read that.
For the record too, like for the record too, there is, just because it says that you're not under the law doesn't mean that the law doesn't still apply. Like a lot of people will take that to mean like, oh, the law, we don't have to pay attention to any of that stuff anymore. It's done away with because Christ died.
We're not under the law.
It just means you're not judged by it anymore. Like if you're in Christ, then you're well, I mean, no, I take that back, because you are judged by it.
But if you're attempting to be justified, by the law, you will fail.
It will condemn you. But here's my.
We lost you, Devin.
We just lost your audio. Maybe your headset died. I don't know.
You're not there.
But we lost your audio.
Yeah. I heard a pop there. But all right. So the
but yeah, you were saying that that the, like, you're not, if you're seeking to be justified by the law, then you're hosed, because even if you kept the entire law your entire life and didn't have the blood of Christ, you're still, it's for naught. Like you didn't. Okay, so you basically you paid for your first death, but your second death is still unpaid for. Like Christ, that's what Christ paid for, is to redeem you from death. Like, so even if,
we got you back.
Yep, you're good. You're in there.
You were going to say something, Devin.
Audio right now. Is it okay?
You're low, but
other than the
fact that you're low, you're there.
Let me change it to.
That sounds good. That sounded good right there.
I'll change it back to this. This should be fine.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Okay.
way clearer.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Is everything better?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know why the mic, the external mic, all of a sudden would just stop working like that. That's really weird. Okay, so we were talking about Jeremy. You talked about that verse in Galatians, something about what was the verse you were looking at?
So I was talking about 22 and 23. The end of 23 is where it says that against such things, talking about the fruits of the Spirit, there is no law.
All right.
Yeah.
I just needed a trigger there to remind
Yep.
me. Okay, so the what that actually makes me think of is, and for some reason, I don't know if this was through a biblical lesson that I learned at some point in time, or just my own personal convictions or what, but I think about being a child in a household and your parents are ungodly and they say you're not allowed to read the Bible or you're not allowed to be kind, hypothetically. And then I also think about you live in a country that says you're not allowed to be generous or some kind of psychotic, stupid law, right? And it's against the law. I think about that even though you're supposed to be submitted to the law of either your parents or the country that you live in because it's godly to obey the law of the land and so on and so on. I've always thought of that verse as against these things there is no law, meaning that even if hypothetically your parents or the government came up with a law against those things, you don't have to obey it. Does that make sense? That's kind of how I've always thought about that verse. You took it in a little bit different direction, but
I could see it both ways.
I thought it was funny because I preached a sermon on this passage like, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago. And the point that I made about that scripture is that most people historically read it how I was saying, that the law in the Torah, that there was no law against anything in that. That's how most people read it. Okay. However, the first time I read it, I actually read it, and it could totally be off base reading it this way, but it's just how I saw it the first time I read it, was that if I were to do those things, no one could call me a lawbreaker. Like there would be no power behind that. Like if I were to live a life based in love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, no one could come at me and go, oh, this guy's such a criminal, horrible person. You know what I mean? Like, even if I was violating a man-made law, they could not view me as a lawbreaker if I was living by those attributes. That's how I read it. And I came around to the other way later, basically like in a Bible class where they're explaining, well, this is what this means. And I was like, oh, hey, look at that, how everybody else read it. But so it's kind of funny that you said it that way, because that's kind of similar to how I read it the first time too.
Okay.
Chuck?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's basically the way I read it, was that, like, if you're living in that way, like, you're not going to be able to break the law. You're not. Like, if you're, I mean, like, literally, if you can love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, like, that is at the forefront of your mind 24/7. You're loving God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And then your second thought behind that is, I'm going to literally put everyone else ahead of myself in life. You are going to find it extremely hard to sin. It's not even going to come to mind, because if you're putting other people in front of yourself, you're obviously not going to covet their stuff, their wives. You're not going to want to commit adultery. You're not going to want to steal. You're not going to want to murder. And then all the rest of the commandments fall under the loving God more than everything else. And you're not going to break those either if loving God is at the forefront of your mind all the time. So it is literally going to be hard for you to break the law if that's your focus in life.
Who's joining us?
Whistle boy.
But
I
that
mean,
is an
you get where I'm coming
interesting
from?
avatar. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then Paul's basically just breaking it out into smaller chunks and saying, if you are living with these things in mind, you're not going to be able to live a life that somebody's going to be able to point at you and be like, well, you break the law all the time. Like, no, you're not going to be able to point fingers at me in that way and say that, because it's obviously not true.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's like my dad used to give an example about this, that because people look at law breaking as rebellion. Hey, Whistle Boy, we can actually see you now. And really, if you follow Jesus's teaching, you're very rebellious. You're very rebellious against what's commonly accepted. And so he gave a kind of a silly example, but it would be like people worry about like, okay, so the speed limit's 60 miles an hour. And you'd have Christians that would either say like, well, okay, so I never go over 60 miles an hour. I'm obeying the law, right? But if somebody were to come along and say, actually, that speed limit's there, and this is arguable, that speed limit's there to make things safer, and I feel like it's safer if I go 55, then that person should go 55 miles an hour, and their rebellion is actually obeying the other way. You know what I'm saying? Like being extreme the other direction. So,
sorry, what are they
God
rebelling?
bless you.
I don't understand. What are they rebelling if they go 55?
Against
they're not
own conscience.
Because
against
the highway,
against
if
the
you're going
norm.
60,
Against the norm.
Okay, rebelling against the norm. But if you go 60 miles, if the speed limit is 60 and you go 60, you're still rebelling against the norm because everybody else is going 68 or 75.
That's very true. But the point's not about what the speed actually is. The point is that if you're being directed by God to do something, it shouldn't, unless the law is in direct opposition to Scripture. Your obedience to Christ will actually fall under the law, and it'll probably exceed the law. You get what I'm saying? Like the speed limit is just a silly example, but that's the idea of it.
I get that.
So,
if I never look at the speed limit signs, does any of it matter?
Yeah, because your ignorance is not an excuse from the law. That's
Dang
just how that works.
Yeah.
What's up, Whistle Boy, man?
Hey, 1 second. I'm messing with stuff. I've
It's
never
all
done
good.
that before.
And the speed limits were just a ploy to try and save gas to begin with. So that was the whole reason they were instituted to begin with.
Oh, like properly inflating your tires is going to save the entire country, right?
You're
Just like
telling
that.
me that
Exactly.
speed limits had nothing to do with limiting the inertia involved in a collision?
Not initially. Now, if you look at them, if you look at the history of speed limits, the history of speed limits was an effort to save fuel. And then they found out afterward through studies, hey, we're getting a lot less accidents because we're dumb and we didn't realize that was going to be a consequence. And so then they started instituting it for safety reasons. But that's why even as late as the late 1990s, I think, Montana actually didn't give speeding tickets. They gave petroleum use tickets, and it was like $5 or $10 for using too much gas when you went like 100 miles an hour on the interstate. It's pretty crazy.
Isn't there still federal, like in Arizona and Montana, aren't there still areas that you can go 80 miles an hour? 80 miles an hour?
In Texas, there's posted speed limits of 90.
Yeah,
Seriously?
I-10,
Yeah.
I-10,
85.
yep.
85, 90?
Yeah, 90.
That's
Damn.
sick.
That's
That's sick.
I
But the
couldn't
thing that's
even get
crazy-
my car to go that fast when I was driving. I tried.
I mean, I've gone, I think 107 is the fastest I've ever gone, but
138. And I shouldn't have done it. I thought I was going to
I
die.
was at 116. I was at 116.
Obviously.
It was terrifying.
I was in a 1973 Plymouth Satellite. And
Whoa.
When I lived in Germany, I
felt
had
like it was floating.
When I lived in
I
Germany,
bet.
I had a pretty fast car, and I was on the Autobahn, and that was pretty fun. I was going like 150, something like that. Mazda Speed 3, it was turboed.
That's
Nice.
crazy.
It was lagging.
It is.
Yeah,
pretty dope,
I
but
see you there though, Whistle Boy.
It looks pretty dope. I gotta say.
Yeah.
What he's trying to do, what Whistle Boy's trying to do, he's trying to school me. He's he's a little bit younger, you know, and he's like, listen, you old man. He's trying to teach me. He's trying to teach me his ways. So
Yeah, I would send you a mic, but I don't have like a a lapel mic or anything.
Well, that's what I
Mic.
got though. That's what I have is this guy right. I put the foam thing on it, and
Yeah.
it's a TRRP.
Mhm.
It's a
Oh, yeah, yeah.
TRRP mic.
Mhm.
And it was working. All of a sudden, it stopped working. Paladoo is the name.
I don't know any of the names.
It's like $10.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about. I mean, the only problem is that you can hear like whenever I'm listening in the car, I can just hear the road sounds, and it makes my bass. It feels like my bass is gonna blow out in my car. It's hilarious.
I hear you.
I did this. I had to turn my sub all the way down.
Yeah.
Like all the way down.
Yeah.
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 I just want
If
your
I didn't
production
have
value
gain
to go
control
because I
on
think
my sub, I would be completely hosed. I would not be able to listen to you in the car.
yeah, I think that's what's missing is the production value. I think it could go way up, man.
Oh, I was going to say content, but yeah, whatever.
Well, I enjoy listening a lot. I really do.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, I want to get better at being a little bit more honed in on a topic and stuff like that because I don't want to bore the audience.
Devin, if you could dial in on a topic as well as you dialed in on that gibberish stream, where you maintained that for like 40 some minutes, I was like,
That was insane.
Yeah.
I was honestly impressed. I was like, that is crazy that you did that for that long.
Great character for 5 seconds. It was amazing.
The funny thing is, no, that's not a spiritual language. At least I don't believe that it is. And
I'll do a 40-minute video interpreting it. I will send the interpretation. That'll be my next stream.
But I have been speaking that language and doing that privately for, I mean, a long time.
That was the first stream that my wife ever listened to Devin.
No, you're not. No, not that one. Not the accent. You're talking about the accent one, Chuck. I'm talking about. No. Baldy Box is talking about the one where
he did one way worse, dude.
Oh wow!
It was a couple of weeks ago, and it was it was not in English. It was not. It was in a language that I've been speaking and making up for over 20 years. I've been talking that.
You were going like this, and you said some word. I forgot what it was, but I was thinking that that's going to be a great shirt. You just say that word and have the an image of you like this. It's hilarious.
Well, I was literally trying to get people to donate to PayPal, and when I held up my phone, I looked back at the video and I could tell that you couldn't see the image. I pulled up the PayPal screen and I was trying to communicate, but it definitely didn't work. But funny enough, Froze Moments interpreted two of the things that I was trying to say. He interpreted the money thing, and he also interpreted the liberals, the leftists, because it was the one English word I said the entire video, leftists, right? He interpreted correctly that I was saying that the leftist should float away on a boat and go away. And his interpretation was 100% what I was trying to say. Not even, it was hilarious that he got it so right.
Well, I mean, 90% of language is nonverbal, so.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that too. It's kind of funny. All right, I'll be right back,
listen, guys. I've actually got to jump off of here because I got to go do family stuff. So.
Hey, what's your job? Just wondering.
Me?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Air Force wise or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cyber systems operations.
Are you like reserves or something?
No. I'm active duty Air Force.
You have another job besides that? Oh, okay.
Sure don't. Besides being a full-time failure at YouTube, I have that.
Yeah, I was signals intel, and I got out like 2 years ago.
Oh, so you went to school in Keezer too?
No, I went to Goodfellow Air Force Base.
Oh, you were a Goodfellow. Okay.
Yeah, but
for your tech school.
Yeah.
We have SIGINT down here in tech school as well.
Really?
Because I'm actually going to Offutt for
I was Army.
Oh, you were Army. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense.
Which is strange, right? I was going to an Air Force base for for Army
No,
MOS.
because they do a lot of signal. They do a lot of signal training for cross branch training.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I'm about to join again. I don't know what I want to do. I'm just, kind of. I was thinking about
go Air Force, obviously. Go Cyber Systems Operations, and then try to get off it as your base, and we'll just hang out. That'd be cool.
the Air Force is telling me I was gonna have to wait like a year for.
It's anybody prior service has to go through that. So
yeah, it's ridiculous. So I'm
It
not
is.
gonna wait a year for that. And the Army was like, "Yeah, we'll put you in." It was gonna take like a month.
yeah, that's they're like, yeah, we'll do whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
We just need a body and a signature. We don't care.
I just have to decide in a month what I want to do, and it's gonna be. I thought I was gonna want to be like I forgot what it's called now. I forgot what the preachers are in the Army.
Oh, a chaplain's assistant.
Yeah, chaplain's assistant. Yeah, I thought I was gonna do that, but I don't know if I want to anymore.
My grandfather did that in the Army.
Weird ropes and stuff in that.
And
yeah.
plus,
I was
I
under
heard.
the impression. Sorry to interrupt. I was under the impression that chaplains had to represent all religions, and you couldn't be just a Christian chaplain. Is that not true?
Well,
No,
you can be a Christian chaplain, you can be a Muslim chaplain, you can be anything you want. The problem is that I'm obviously Christian, and I don't want to be an assistant to a Muslim, and they could just put me anywhere to anybody.
Oh, I see.
A Jew,
I see.
even a Jew.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I actually met a chaplain that was a rabbi, and he was actually pretty cool. So
Yeah.
That was my dad was a chaplain for the prison system, and it was the same. Yes, the largest hat possible. And that was the problem he had. Well, he could be a Christian chaplain, but at the same time, you're required to counsel anybody, and you're not allowed to proselytize.
Yeah.
When you're counseling somebody from another religion. And so that was always his struggle too. It's like, I have the answer to your problems, but I can't give them to you, So.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, it's been a blast, and I got to jump off here. So you guys have a great night. Pleasure hanging out with you, Whistle Boy.
Yeah, have a good one. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, for sure. We'll still have to do this again.
All right.
See you, Chuck.
Bye.
All righty.
That hat.
Yeah, it's the biggest hat I have. I keep on going to different stores and stuff, and I'll see really big hats, and I'm like, ooh, that would be pretty cool. It's like, oh, it's only $20, but
What's it gonna take to get you guys to jump off the Owen wagon?
I'm
What do
not
you
on
mean?
the wagon.
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by jump the Owen wagon.
Jump off of it.
Well, I mean, you have to define what it means to be on his wagon.
Yeah. What does being on it mean?
You guys don't like watch all of his streams and stuff?
I don't watch all of them. No.
I watch one out of 4.
You watched one?
1 out of 4.
I'm probably less than that. Which, I mean, the reality is, I've been watching him. Well, I was listening to him before he was even streaming on video, and it was Why Didn't They Laugh? And that was way better. But then the first streams that he did that were video were pretty cool, and we wrote songs and we wrote jokes and stuff like that. So it's not the same stream, and a lot of it's regurgitated, and so I'm like, I'm not interested in a lot of that stuff.
2018 Owen, way better.
Yeah, I went to one of his shows here in San Antonio. He had one. He did it in like a dance recital studio thing, and I met him, and he was. I mean, it's kind of like how I am with Crowder. Like, he like I can make it through a whole one of his shows and not laugh. It was more like the crowd was making me laugh as they were laughing. And then I met him after the show. I met him and Nimmer after the show. Nimmer was telling me about how he was like a legal assistant. And then I had like questions about his service when he was like, yeah, I was like a legal guy. And then I was like, well, how did you have 28 confirmed kills or whatever? But I didn't question it because like why would you lie about it? Whatever. And he seemed like he knew some stuff. So I didn't really ask any questions. But then I met Owen, and he was a dick to me. he was like, what? He had that tiki torch bit, and
So
yeah, go ahead.
just for preface, let me say I'm 5'7", but
Uh-huh.
how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
I'm just wondering. The only reason I say
He's-
that is because I legitimately believe that Owen Benjamin is actually a height supremacist. Actually. So,
Well, he towered above literally everybody there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking everybody. But
I got to be honest. I don't disagree with his point on it. I mean, anybody
You're
under
like
6'1". I'm only
You're
6'2".
so what
Oh,
happened?
I'm
was-
6'2".
What happened was he had that tiki torch bit, and he said in the show that he didn't have an ending for it. So when he was outside just chatting with all of us, I told him, "Hey, you should," and then he cut me off right there and said, and he like towered over me and said, "Don't tell me what to do." And I was like, Jesus, man. Like he was somebody I looked up to, so I kind of like cowered down. I was like, all right, man, I'm sorry. And then he was drunk too. And I was like, all right. And I cowered down again to see like when he was gonna say like, hey, sorry about that or whatever. He didn't. He was like, well, what do you say? What do you think I should say? I was like, yeah, the end you should say you got into the Dodge Challenger and sped off. And he was like, oh yeah, that is pretty funny. And then he used it afterwards. But I don't think I'll ever forget how he was just, he like tried to intimidate me and said, don't fucking tell me what to do.
But here's the interesting thing about it. He thinks that he's serious. And I am speaking for him when I say this, and I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. But I think that he thinks that he's being funny when he does that. I think that when he does power plays and when he does his bannings, he thinks, because he said so, thinks it's hilarious. When he's yelling at people and when he's making fun of people that are in his chat and when he's being rude and all those different things, he legitimately thinks it's funny because he thinks it's funny to laugh at money. And he prides himself on being able to reject not loyalty, but what's the word for it? Being owing anybody anything. He laughs at that, and he prides himself on being able to do that.
If there was a crowd, he bans people, and it's funny when he bans people because he'll just start going in on people, and it's hilarious when there's a crowd of people watching. But like he was just talking to me personally. Everybody was talking amongst themselves, and I had his full attention, and I was just chatting with him, and then he just like towers over me and says, "Don't tell me what to do." I was like, no, he was just trying. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of fucking idiots. Excuse my language. Am I not supposed to cuss? I'm sure there's a lot of idiots that try to tell him jokes and stuff that shouldn't tell him what to do. But I had like the legit perfect ending for the joke, and then he was curious about it. After all,
yeah.
But, I understand, but I also kind of was like, geez, that's a little much.
I'm also that guy a little bit too. Like, I don't know if you follow Michael Malice at all, but one of his favorite things is to just say, "How about I do it? How about I do what I want?" And I use that a lot whenever somebody says, "Oh, I have an idea. You should do this." How about I do what I want? And I say that, and then I ask them, "No, seriously, what were you going to say?" Because I think it's funny, and I think Owen does the same thing. Like, and because he's so big, of course, it definitely comes off as intimidating. But I have that problem too. I've had people tell me, "Oh, you're so intimidating," because I am 6'2", and I'm a large person, and I'm very loud. If you get me talking about libertarianism, anyway, and so I don't think I'm intimidating, but I've had people say, "Well, you were very intimidating. I was scared," or whatever, which is, not my intention.
I'm not intimidated by him. It was he was trying to intimidate me. He was trying to, and I was trying to show him, "Hey, I respect you as a man. Like I really look up to you." So I was cowering down a little bit. It was all like it was thought out in my head. Hey, I'm sorry. And he didn't react. He just looked at me, and I was like, "Sorry again." And then he just kept looking. I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, what do you want?" I was like, "Damn, man. I don't even know if I should say it anymore."
Yeah, there's a certain sense of arrogance there, obviously, and it has to do with a world that is, in some ways, lonely. And I've thought a lot about his context of why he says certain things and why he goes back to certain subjects and why he's so phallic. His language, his concepts, the things that he thinks are funny are all centered around the phallic nature, and all these different things. And I pretty much think I have it figured out. My conclusions personally are that I want to spend my time growing, learning. I have a little bit of desire to educate myself on current events. And that's really what was going on back in November and October and a little bit in December, was learning a little bit more about the context of the media and the news and social commentary and those sorts of things. And then
news for the past 8 or 6 months now.
I know.
Yeah, it's been 6 months, and I'm not scared to say something. I get it. Can we move on?
Yeah,
It's like, I'm not scared to call people out. I just move on, dude.
But the more you say it to him, he's like, "Oh, you're trying to tell me what to do. I'm gonna say it more now." It's like, Jesus.
Well, that's why I just want to shake everybody. I'm like, y'all get, if you just drop this, he would move on too. Like, it's the people that instigate it that cause it. But anyway, whatever. So I wish we'd get back to joke writing, and I think he said that in this fall, I think he's going to try and, or was it Christmas? I can't remember. He's going to try and get back on the road and doing comedy shows, and I think that's going to help because he's at his best when he's writing, because he really is a good writer. Man, if you go back and watch some of his stuff about relationships and how to stay
relationship man-woman stuff.
Yeah,
is perfect.
So good. It's so good. It's, first of all, it's dead on. So any girl you show it to is laughing hysterically because they're like, "How the heck does this guy have us figured out so well?" And like he's got it down. And I think he could affect a lot of people if he went down the road of glorifying masculinity, glorifying being a real man and staying and taking care of your kids through his humor. Like, you don't have to be a preacher, you know what I mean?
He's legitimately afraid of becoming a preacher, which might mean that God actually is calling him to be one, because he's mentioned saying that if I don't include a penis joke in my stuff, I'll be a preacher. He's literally, that's a paraphrase, but he said something almost identical to that. And if I didn't do this, I would be a preacher. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he had said. And that was probably back in like November or something like that, or whenever, when I heard him say that. But I can't help but look at that as a fear of becoming something that he doesn't feel equipped. And I don't think that he is equipped, but that doesn't mean that he's not gifted. So you can be gifted to do something and start to recognize, okay, I have a gift at something, but then be afraid because you're not ready. Well, the point is you're supposed to acknowledge your gifting and then seek out discipleship. And I think that it will happen. I think that Owen in his 50s or 60s could be a pastor, could be somebody that has matured, has moved beyond the nonsense, and it's actually
go the exact opposite and just go totally insane.
He could, but that depends on your perspective on whether or not God's providence, and God's providence is what it is, but whether or not he's in the hands of God or not, and that's up to him to some degree, and it's not up to him on another hand. So that's all kind of a perspective situation.
He's done some really shady stuff. I mean, I watch religiously. I watch the Revenge of the Sis guys, and they do. I mean, they're not totally.
I cannot stand them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess
I guess
it's not for everybody, but he does lie about them constantly. It's
Probably so.
It's blatant.
Oh, I know he lies. I know he lies about them.
Defensively.
But honestly, the one dude on Revenge of the like a Jewish grandmother from New York that's addicted to smoking, and that's the voice I every time he
Oh yeah,
talks.
that's Mersh.
I can't listen to him for more than about 5 minutes. Dude, yeah, I'm like, I can't take your voice, dude. I just can't take it.
He does. I mean,
That's how I feel about Vox too. I can't listen to Vox for more than like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a funny dude. I mean, I don't get a lot of the stuff, but yeah, I mean, they're funny guys, and they're like literally almost all day. They have stuff. They have stuff playing. Yeah, Island Bear says he loves Mersh. It makes him crack up. Yeah, he's a pretty funny guy, especially when he does the Jewish voices. He does Jewish voices just to like, I don't know, rip on him. They're not pro-Jewish. I mean, a lot of the stuff that they both.
Sorry, I'll be right back.
They'll meet in the middle on a lot of the things. It's just that I don't know. Owen lies about him, and Owen's he's hysterical a lot of times. So that's why they make.
Well, the other side of that is if you tried to take me down, I probably would come back at you, and chances are I'd lie about you too, because that was their whole thing. They were trying to destroy him. Like every video they were doing.
They weren't. That's another lie. It is.
No, I literally watched their channel. Every video they did for like a month was on him.
Yeah, it was just
I know, but that's boring.
It wasn't.
That's boring.
It wasn't trying to take him down. It was just mocking him.
I'm not saying take him down as in destroy him, but I mean, if your entire life, okay, so here's the thing. I don't enjoy anyone whose entire existence is anti something. I need you to be pro something. And like all they would talk about was anti Owen. And I'm just like, even if I hated Owen, I just wouldn't care for that. Like,
yeah, and that got on the listeners' nerves. The thing was that that happened after Owen had lied about the strike. When he struck the channel, Mersh's channel, Nightwave, they just went all out and were making videos every single day on him.
Retaliatory,
yeah.
Which is kind of funny because here's what this is what I mean by funny. When you say, and this is one of the most I had never watched them ever, but I watched one of their recent videos within the last 7 days. I can't remember. And it was all about how they thought that Owen was not a Christian and blah, blah, blah. And well, how could you ever, this is what they were saying. How could you ever delight in the death of somebody or whatever? And well, he's obviously not a Christian. And then they said something to the effect of, well, we're not perfect either. We've got our own issues, but this guy's definitely not a Christian. It's interesting to make judgments about whether or not you think somebody is Christian or not if you aren't a Christian. That's kind of...
No, they're Christians.
They may or may not be, I don't know, but they seemed... The way that they were talking kind of made me think like they could care less about Christianity, but they definitely wanted to try and call somebody out for hypocrisy when they, from my perspective, when I was watching them, I was like, well, they have just as many moral depravity issues as Owen does, as they seek out retaliatory methods to justify their, I don't know. It's just weird to me. I don't really care.
Yep.
I don't really care.
Oh.
My purpose in watching anybody on YouTube, and I watch probably around 10 different channels from time to time. And when I have time, which is pretty much when I'm at work, and I only listen when it's not distracting me too much from being able to accomplish the tasks I have to do at work. But so I need to listen to something that's smooth, straightforward, on a topic, not ridiculous, out all over the place, that I can just kind of listen to and gain a specific understanding on a specific topic is usually the best for me. Sometimes it's Dr. Brown. Sometimes it's MacArthur. Sometimes it's Piper. Sometimes it's what do you mean? Sometimes it's whatever different random channel I'm listening to. Oftentimes religious stuff, but not always. Usually the funny channels that I listen to, which I've mentioned, like VLDL and stuff like that, I listen to like when I'm not working because I'm gonna be laughing. Like Carl from Sunny Cool Teas, I think his videos are hysterical. He's a Christian dude, and all his videos are stinking hilarious. And I love his channel and his stuff, and I want to do T-shirts through him and all that good stuff. But I don't listen to that while I'm working. Owen I can listen to sometimes, but the whole I'm just done. I'm done with the male body part situation. I can't listen to any more sodomy talk. I can't listen to any more male body parts. So my rule for myself regarding him is if he's talking about comedy, if he's talking about social commentary, if he's talking about farming, we're good to go. And I'll just listen. But the moment that a body part comes up, or the moment that sodomy or the sodomy of somebody else comes up as a topic, I'm done. I'm just going to flip over to Pandora and listen to my non-lyric trance, step, dubstep, house, classical, rap, whatever. And by the way, I don't listen to rap. I listen to CHH, Christian hip hop. I never actually listen to real rap. I always listen to KB. I listen to gospel rappers. I can't stand real rap, as some people might call it. So just for the record on that. But
what's interesting is that since I started listening to Owen, I got on the Owen wagon. I got on the Vox wagon. I got off of both of them. And now literally I don't listen to, I don't remember the last time like I put on music. I don't listen to any music anymore. And when you
used to be into music?
Oh yeah, whatever. Like, I mean, I would, yeah, if I was bored, I would listen to music or whatever while I was doing stuff. Now I don't listen to anything. I just listen to, talk stuff.
Yeah, you got to find a balance with that. Trust me, because you'll go down rabbit holes, even if it's just like news and stuff. Or like I used to be addicted to like sports and stuff, and it's like you got to have a balance. You got to figure out a way because music's too important.
Yeah, now when I do listen to music, it's like the best thing I've ever heard. It's like it moves me now.
Why would you do that? Island Bear, why would you listen to Jordan Peterson? Why would you even do that? Like, I stopped listening to Jesse Lee Peterson a long time ago once I realized that he was literally working for the devil. Well, that's really extreme. No, I'm serious. Jordan Peterson, there's no redemptive value of his content at all.
I don't know. Like Vox Day will fucking, excuse my language. I'm sorry. I was in the army and it hasn't left me yet. I don't know. I don't know what it is that he does that's so bad. Vox Day will say all this crazy stuff about him, like he's the worst person ever, and I don't know what it is that he's doing.
Jordan Peterson's not a Christian, and he masquerades as somebody that is spiritually superior to others because of his social commentary, elevated perspective of what is socially appropriate and what is humane in society and what is philosophically elevated above others' behaviors and all that. He has a certain level of maturity about him, but he's a liar. He is agnostic. He refuses to stand for anything truly. He also masquerades by de facto as a Christian, even though he's not one. And most everybody knows it, but not everybody does. There are so many people that think that he might be a hero for the faith, but he's not. And it's just because somebody speaks things that are vaguely reminiscent towards the truth doesn't mean that you just have to listen to them just because they're saying stuff that makes more sense than people that are speaking other lies.
Yeah, I see that.
Same thing the way that I feel about Jesse Lee Peterson, though he says some really great things like responsibility and getting away from your parents in some regards and stuff like that, he also really distorts the concepts of what you would learn if you were reading the Bible and learning it for yourself. His perspectives are really jacked up, and he definitely is not on God's team, and he's a false teacher. So
I'm interested in both your perspectives on this question that I have. My number one question is he pushes the Bible, though, Jordan Peterson. He says that the Bible is good, whether metaphorical or not.
And so
is that good?
Can I answer that one first? So I listened to him a lot, and I bought his book and I read his book, and right from the get-go, I told people I only recommended him to people who were strong in their faith. I would never recommend him to an unbeliever, and I wouldn't recommend him to somebody that was new to the faith, because the way he spoke about the Bible is, honestly, it's heresy. Because if you Jordan Peterson.
Okay.
I gotta turn it on.
Jordan Peterson, yeah. So if you speak about the Bible as if it is metaphor, that's heresy. If you speak about the Bible as just this illustration, and you speak about people as archetypes, and he literally said the phrase at one point, well, the reason they made Jesus a carpenter was ... And it's like, holy cow, this guy's going straight to hell, because it goes beyond being flawed when you become a teacher, right? The scripture is quite clear that if you are teaching from the Bible, you are held to a higher standard. So if you teach the Bible as anything other than the literal word of God, then you're totally wrong. And so now I won't recommend him to anyone. I don't disagree that he says things that are valuable, right? The personal responsibility aspects and all that stuff. But he doesn't say anything groundbreaking either. You can find all that stuff in a Tony Robbins book. You can find that stuff written by John Piper. You can find that stuff, secular or Christian, you can find that stuff from people who don't misrepresent the Bible and don't misrepresent God himself. So at first I thought he might be a Christian, but then it was very clear when he started asking questions that were very new age, or responding, well, it depends what you mean by God and all that. And it's like, uh-oh.
He said
he
has had like spiritual things that have happened to him. Like he's been like, I don't know, seeing angels and stuff like that. That's what he said anyways about
Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So I would lean that he probably has had those experiences.
About that is he talks very much like he's on mushrooms without actually being on mushrooms. But the thing is, when I could be in a conversation with somebody and say it depends on what you mean by God. I mean, that's actually a really valid statement, because there's a lot of people that use God in ways that we don't agree with, right? A lot of people believe that God is the same God that the Islamic people believe in, that the Jewish people believe in, and that it's all the same God. But as we learn through Jesus, that's not how it works. So it depends on what you mean by God is actually a really valid setup, but his intention and his meaning behind that was the archetype situation rather than creator of the universe, the one who brought forth his son to earth. Is very different. Very, very, very different.
Yeah, so Island Bear's question is was my next question.
What's up?
Was that, so yeah, he's not a Christian, and Island Bear actually said it better than I was going to say it. So people that would have no exposure to Christ gain more exposure than they might never had. So is he not like a good gateway at least? Because honestly, I was pure atheist until I heard, I was listening to Joe Rogan. JBP came on. I was listening to him. I was like, oh, yeah, you know what? It kind of aligned with Western values, and I'm white and I'm Western. So I kind of aligned myself with what he's saying. And so then I started listening to Jordan talk, and then it led me to like Crowder and CRTV and all that stuff, and then that led me to Owen, and now I'm full blown Christian. So is it not like a good gateway to have at least?
It can be, but here's what one perspective of a certain category, aka Reformed people, would say. They would say that God was calling you, and that God could literally use Satan or a donkey or anything that God saw fit to call you to himself. So whether or not it was somebody that didn't even submit themselves to God, you don't necessarily need, not even necessary, you don't give credit to the people that helped you along the way. You acknowledge the goodness, the glory, the holiness, the righteousness of God. God gets all the credit because God's the one that does the work. God's the one that calls you to himself. And regardless of who he uses to do that, because here's the thing, a lot of people, I've talked about this before, I think that the place, if not number one, it's absolutely number two. The highest location of people that become Christians. You probably already know it because you've either heard me say it or you just know intuitively. Behind church, if it's not church, if church isn't number one, which we're going to try and assume that church is number one, the number two is prison. So you have to think about, well, that doesn't make prison holy. The fact of the matter is that God will call you to himself sometimes in the pits, in the valley, right? In the most horrific of situations. It might be when you're imprisoned for unjust means or just means, whatever the case. Sometimes God calls us when we're at our lowest. Sometimes he calls us when we're at our highest. It's actually more so the case when we're at our lowest because we're looking not towards ourselves, but towards him, so on and so on. But I just don't think that it's necessary to give credit to any of those other things. It's more so like, well, thank God that he used that person, but that doesn't mean that I have to endorse anything that he does. It's in spite of. That's how I would put it. It's we can be thankful for people like Jordan B. Peterson in spite of their beliefs, because God is so great that he could even use someone like that. I don't think that we have to fill a debt or anything like that to, and those are some of the ways in regards to Owen that I always thought was kind of weird. The debt mentality, you know, I owe my Christianity to Steven Crowder, blah, blah, blah. Come on now. If you don't acknowledge, it can be an ignorance thing. So I'm not trying to be too critical. It's okay to be ignorant as long as you continue to try to learn and stuff. But, you know, the credit is God's. God gets the credit for getting you to him, not other people. That's my perspective.
Yeah, the only debt we owe cannot be repaid, and that's to God. That's the only debt we owe. And I don't think it's wrong to acknowledge and appreciate someone's obedience, because that's all it was. Like if Crowder brought Owen to Christ, then it was only because Owen was being obedient to what God was having him to do. And this is what I'm going to say about JBP with you. Whistleboy, do you have a name I can use other than Whistleboy?
Call me Brad.
Brett?
Brad.
Brad?
Yeah.
Brad, okay. All right. So my thing with JBP, Brad, is that if JBP didn't exist, God would have used someone else, because this sounds cold, but it's not. God doesn't actually need us. He just chooses to use us. And when we're obedient, then like awesome stuff, he does awesome stuff through us, and we get to glorify him with how he uses us, right? But if we reject that and we're like, no, I just refuse to follow what God wants, he's going to use somebody else. Like, it's just, he's, you know, or he'll do it supernaturally, you know, like a road to Damascus moment that Saul had, you know what I mean? Like if we're not obedient, it's not like God's plan fails. And so the reverse is also true. Like if we didn't hear it from this person, it doesn't mean we wouldn't have heard it.
Right.
Because God's the one that does it. If that makes sense to you, man.
Yeah. My other question is, do you think he's a good gateway to right-wing politics?
Sure. I think that there's influencers.
Is he though? Because I mean, the stuff he wrote about Kavanaugh was pretty ridiculous, and he also advocated.
I don't think that I don't think that JBP is going to breed. Think of breeding, psychological breeding, even. I don't think that he's going to breed a leftist.
I don't think. Well, probably not. But he is a leftist historically. He was a socialist.
Boingo Bear has a good point. Boingo Bear says for leftists.
Yeah.
He can convert leftists, but he might not help somebody that's already right.
Yeah, he's like just
that's true.
A light guy. He's just like
he's a gateway drug.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right.
But he also endorsed a Democrat pro-abortion candidate in Minnesota publicly. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm not a one issue voter, but if you're pro-abortion, I'm out.
West Side Bear just showed up to the party, but I actually need to end the stream because I need to do my kombucha or something tonight, and get to bed because I've got an early day tomorrow at work. But West Side Bear showed up, and to West Side Bear, please email me at devinjump@gmail.com. I've lost your email, so if you could please pop me an email, and I'll save your email address for future live streams. Yes, I'm making kombucha, Island Bear. Yes, I am. For anybody that might be interested, I have a Patreon where I haven't put any videos up recently because I have 2 Patreon members, and it would be a little bit more, what's the word for it? Motivating to put a lot more material on there with more Patreons. But I am thankful for the 2 that I have.
We'll get your mobile Streamlabs up to par too. You need to have the chat scrolling in that blue part. You need to have.
So I was told that the chat won't work unless you're over 1,000 subscribers. I've tried a lot of different settings. I've tried the chat option. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. I've tried 2 different settings. I've tried the widget by adding the widget.
That might be true. I don't know. No, you know what? It's not true because I
have the chat. I had the chat box. I added the chat box. I've disabled it, and then I added the widget that says chatter. Obviously, I guess that's really impossible to see, but the widget. And I added that, and it's still not working. I have it situated on the screen in the supposed correct spot. Maybe I should scoot it over. Maybe it's just getting hidden by the blue thing over and over again. But that's what somebody told me is that you're supposed to be. But there's no way to layer it because I'm.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
I know.
It's weird.
We'll get you anyway. All about symmetry because I went to school for basically the 35 the dang MOS that I had in the Army, the job that I had in the Army. Like half of the 6-month school is like just about PowerPoint and symmetry and PowerPoint. I don't know why, because we had to brief commanders and stuff, but it's all about symmetry, man. So I don't know. We'll get it right.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate your help, and I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for all the people that hang out. It's been really enjoyable to get to know new people, have different conversations, see different perspectives, and
I have a lot more questions too. So if you want more questions, have me on again.
Yeah, man, of course. Let's see. Yeah, Intoxicating Masculinity is doing some self-promotion on.
I'm trying to squeeze it in here.
Do it, man.
Shameless
Do it.
plugs.
No, just it's fine. I don't have anything against that because I think the whole in group preference for those that get it. That's my.
I just hit 1,000 followers on Instagram today, so I was
Tagged myself.
not actually really proud of that, but it happened. So Whistle Boy Live, is that Twitter?
Yeah, I don't. It didn't.
It won't hyperlink or whatever.
Yeah.
I was just trying to not have my name in it.
Not have your name in it.
Not tag myself.
Gotcha.
The other weird thing is, what's the word for it? Every time I do my PayPal link, I can't make it a hyperlink, even when I do the www.
I've done that too. I've done that too.
I think it's a YouTube is preventing PayPal links. They have to be filtering it out somehow.
Yeah. Somehow it's unique. Yeah, see, it doesn't come up.
Yeah, but even if you do, no, it's PayPal.me.
.me. Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I can go HTTP.
But it's still, I know.
//www.paypal.me/DevinJump. And I do that.
Yeah, that's hey,
that time it got a hyperlink. It did a hyperlink that time.
Hey, you got it.
Jeremy.
Mine doesn't. That's mine.
Yeah, you have to do the www though. But that was the first time it actually.
Yes, it might be the S part, the HTTPS.
Interesting.
I almost always put the S. Yeah, so that worked for both myself and you. But anyway, when I do the mobile streams, guys, just for the record for everybody that's here, and then we're going to go ahead and close this out and say goodbye. When I'm doing my mobile streams, you guys can do
mine worked.
The link, and you can Sean? Who's Sean?
Thanks, Sean. You are great. I don't know who Sean is.
Maybe
there was a Sean like way earlier. Maybe he thinks your name's Sean.
I'm Brad.
No. Island Bear. Okay. Island Bear's been around for a long time. I'm pretty sure he knows everybody. But anyway, me. Oh, his name is Sean.
Thanks, Sean. Very cool.
Okay, I'm sorry, dude. It's whatever.
Me, you dummy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you ban him forever. You cannot take a personal attack.
Oh yeah, that was a great troll earlier, huh? With with Nate.
It's whatever, man. It's whatever. I think it's funny because so I know you got to go, Devin, but I thought it was interesting in your stream. I think it was this afternoon. You were saying something, or it might have been yesterday. Anyway, you were saying something about how as you've gotten older, like you've gotten bolder.
Yeah,
in your speech or whatever.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that's funny because like I think I don't know if bold is the right word, but I'm less explosive maybe. I'm not talking
about that. I'm talking about confident. I'm talking about I will stand for the truth if it kills me. And that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. Like when I was 22, I might have been like, well, let me think about this. Let me see how I might be able to do this. I'm like, no, and that's the thing that I've learned about people that are like in their 80s and their 90s.
They don't give a crap.
Yeah, I've lived. I'm done. You want to take me out? I'll take me out because I've lived my life, and that's beautiful. And I think that that's why Paul was the way that he was. There's some good stuff there.
What I thought was interesting was that he said that that it was the libertarians that made it okay for me to troll him, and I thought, well, even if like we weren't libertarians, you couldn't stop me from saying that stuff about you. You couldn't stop me, you little boy. Right.
Anyway, so I just think it's funny because I don't want to say I'm the opposite, but I was like ridiculously bold when I was young. Like I was doing, we got booed. Okay, so when I was 20, I think I was 26 at the time, and we played a pro-life song at a public high school event, and we got booed. And I flat out told them abortion was murder from the stage. And then after they were already booing, we went into our song and we played it. And like now, I don't even know if I would do that. I would say things boldly, but I don't think I convinced anybody. And now I'm kind of more like, okay, what actually convinces people versus just saying something to be bold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that.
I'm more about results.
Strategic, for sure.
Yeah. If I was smarter, I'd call it discerning, but I'm not that smart. So.
I have no idea who Ralph Sarchi is. Anyway, I want to say good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. And I think we've missed a couple of Fridays, but I do want to try my best to continue the Friday evening thing and other random days. But Friday, I want to try and be as consistent as possible.
All right. Nice to meet you, Brad.
Yeah, nice
good
to
night.
meet you guys. Yeah, it's good talking to you guys. And I look forward to chatting again.
Sounds good, man.
All right. See you.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Good night.